Very warm welcome to you all on this annual festival of the London Brahmo Samaj, the 191st Maghotsav. The Maghotsav is the main festival of the Brahmos, celebrated on the 11th of Magh each year according to the Bengali calendar, and marks the anniversary of the Brahmo Samaj. The celebration commemorates the inauguration of the first Brahmo Samaj, held by Raja Raman Roy on 23rd of January 1830. This year is an exception in that we cannot be present together physically to celebrate the spirit of Maghotsav. Nevertheless, technology has drawn us close together and enabled us to join and participate from all over the world. You have just heard the opening passages of the famous hymn Anandaloke. This was composed by Tagore in 1892 and first sung at the 63rd Maghotsav. The hymn first appeared in the pages of Tattwabodhini Potrika in the same year. The tune was based on a bhajan from Mysore. The following is an English translation of the hymn by Amit Das. Blissful truth, reign everlasting in the realms of peace and goodwill. Your majestic glory emanates through the vast expanse of the sky. The mortal world lies, an adornment about your feet. The sun, moon, the planets and stars are forever seeking you, bathed and nourished by your eternal rays. The rays shower unceasingly, bringing beauty beyond compare to the earth. Flowers and leaves, the earth's song in adoration of your glory. Life flows through night and day in a stream that is constant. Your compassion is untiring in birth as it is in death. Kindness, love, pity and devotion lend gentle grace to the soul. You bestow such consolation upon those who need it. What great festival is this? How does the world felicitate you? Your wealth is held in the soil, in prayer to the fearless and the omnipresent. In these exceptional times of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have lost so many of our close friends and relatives. It is sad that we will no longer see their familiar faces gracing the audience. Let us remember them and pray for their departed souls as we proceed with this Maghotsav. May his will be fulfilled. I would now like to introduce the Reverend Kate Dean from Roslyn Hill Unitarian Chapel in Hampstead, where we would ordinarily have celebrated today's Maghotsav.
Hello, I'm Reverend Kate Dean, Unitarian Minister. On behalf of your Unitarian friends at Roslyn Hill Chapel in Hampstead, I send you greetings and all our best wishes for this celebration. We are disappointed that we are not able to host your annual gathering this year. Our chapel building has been closed to services and events since the first lockdown in March last year. Yet we continue to connect online, and we even have our own YouTube channel. The Unitarians and the Brahmo Samaj have an affinity of purpose, which is demonstrated by our outlook, our shared values and ideals. We are grateful to Raja Raman Roy, who co-founded the Calcutta Unitarian Society in 1821. And the chapel has a specific connection with the Brahmo Samaj in that the famous Brahmo leader Chesab Sen delivered a talk to hundreds of attendees at the chapel in 1891. Rabindranath Tagore lived within walking distance of the chapel for a few months in 1913, when he was translating Gitanjali. Sometimes, when I am out walking in the beautiful Hampstead Heath parkland, I imagine him walking there. I imagine how his connection with nature and the miracle of creation must have been renewed by the experience, as I am renewed. And so I end with Tagore's words. On many an idle day have I grieved over lost time, but it is never lost, my Lord. Thou hast taken every moment of my life in thine own hands. Hidden in the heart of things, thou art nourishing seeds into sprouts, buds into blossoms, and ripening flowers into fruitfulness. I was tired and sleeping on my idle bed, and imagined all work had ceased. In the morning I woke up and found my garden full with wonders of flowers. Blessings on you all for the coming year.
पिता न होसि पिता न बोधि Namaste Mahingsi Vishwani Deva Savita Duritani Parasva Yadbhadrang Tannayasva Namah Shambhabacha Mayabhabacha Namah Shankharavacha Mayashkaracha Namah Shambhabacha Shivataracha. Thou art our Father. As a Father teaches true wisdom, we bow down in reverence before Thee. Save us from delusion and sin, forsake us not, destroy us not. O God, our Father, forgive us for our trespasses and send us that which is our good. Thou art the cause and source for all goodness and happiness. Thou art goodness itself, and more than good. We bow down to you. Dear all, we have gathered here today across continents to celebrate the best event that we have in our lives. It is now the time for Maghotsav. The deadly pandemic, which is now has engulfed the entire planet, has shown its force and taken many lives. But this has united us over a digital platform. Though we may be confined to our homes, subject to severe restrictions of going out, our spirit of Maghotsav cannot be suppressed. Therefore, this year we are having a better connect with persons across borders, across countries, across time zones, and across all mental divides. This festival is the annual commemoration of that event that took place 191 years ago. In the city of Calcutta on 23rd January 1830, when Ram Mohan Roy threw open the doors of his Brahmo Sabha to a newly constructed building in Chitpur Road in North Calcutta. Earlier that year, on 8th of January, he had signed the trust deed of the Brahmo Samaj, which decreed that people without distinction shall behave and conduct themselves in an orderly, sober, religious, and devout manner for the worship and adoration of the eternal, unsearchable, and immutable being, who is the author and preserver of the universe. He also said that no man or religion shall be reviled slightly or contemptuously, spoken either in preaching or prayer or in the hymn or any other mode of worship that may be delivered or used in the said building. There should be a meeting of nothing but the worship of the one eternal Ekameva Dityam. So this place was a meeting place of people of all faiths. And we know from the writings of Sivanath Sastri that Ram Mohan not only worshipped here, along with his friends and colleagues, but also took children from different religions, from different religious denominations like Muslims, Christians, into this Brahmo Samaj, and where they would be singing to the glory of the one universal being who was the creator and preserver of the universe. So on this day, where we celebrate the spirit of universalism and the worship of the one supreme being, let us humbly remember all our forefathers, the stalwarts, the torchbearers of this religion, who had over time enthused our faith and enriched us with the intellect. We pay our homage primarily to Devendranath Tagore, the author of Brahmo Dharma. We will pay our homage to Keshav Chandra Sen and his countless followers who have worked so hard to shape the society for the well-being of the women folk of this country. We will salute Pandit Shivanath Shastri and those who were with him, like Ananda Mohan Bose, Dwarkanath Ganguly, and others, who apart from being an Brahmo, but they were engaged in education as well as social welfare. Shivnath Shastri, who apart from being an educationist, was a champion social worker. The editor of Prabhasi, the Bengali literary magazine, Ramananda Chattopadhyay, once remarked on Shivnath Shastri that he was not a mere preacher, he was not a mere minister, he was not a mere teacher, he was not a mere social reformer, nor was he a mere orator. He was not a mere poet, novelist, and essayist. Over and above these roles, which he so worthily filled, stood out his broad and deep personality. He was a great man. Sophia Dobson Collett, in her book Life and Teachings of the Brahmo Samaj, mentions the Church of Ram Mohan Roy, although dedicated to monotheistic worship, was confined to that alone. There was no attempt to organize a system of monotheistic faith. And what is yet more remarkable, not was only the divine service at the weekly meetings of the Samaj, composed mainly of recitations and expositions of the Vedic texts, but the reading of Vedas which took place in a private room where only Brahmins were allowed to be present. Men of other castes were strictly excluded from hearing those sacred words and were only allowed the benefit of the subsequent part of the service, which consisted of delivery of a sermon and the chanting of hymns. It was during the time of Debendranath Tagore that the 4 articles of faith, entitled the Brahmo Dharma Bijam, were drawn up, which future candidates for admission into the Brahmo Samaj were required to subscribe. Thus, Vedantic Unitarianism was superseded by a natural theism, and the Brahmo Samaj became a theistic church. A compilation was published by Debendranath Tagore in 1850, in the month of October, entitled Brahmo Dharma, or Religion of the One True God, comprising the Brahminic covenant and the 4 principles, appended to a careful selection of extracts from the Upanishads and the later Hindu scriptures. And this volume was taken by the Calcutta Samaj as a complete exposition of the principles by which we are guided in our religious belief. So in this festival, we will celebrate that spirit of universalism and ask for blessings from him. To quote Shivanath Shastri, we do not look upon this world as a delusion, nor as a place of bondage, nor as a heritage of fallen humanity, and consequently an abode of sin and suffering. But we believe that the world is a nursery for the soul, beautifully adapted for its growth and development, and for the exercise and culture of its moral and spiritual powers. During the age of existence, and that all spiritual and moral ties that bind man to his family and to his kind are sacred and divinely ordained. So let us pray that our efforts, Our cravings, our thoughts, and our actions will be guided by Him, and we will receive His blessings and enjoy in this festival of Maghotsav and uphold the spirit of universalism and brotherhood towards all men and fatherhood of God. May His will survive, and let us follow His path and do His work. We will now have a hymn.
অপরূপ রূপ ইন্দু কোন শুভক্ষণে উদিবে নয়নে অপরূপ রূপ ইন্দু চিত্ত কুসুমে ভরিয়া উঠিবে মধুময় রসবিন্দু কোন শুভক্ষণে উদিবে নয়নে অপরূপ রূপ ইন্দু কোন শুভক্ষণে উদিবে নয়নে অপরূপ রূপ ইন্দু নবনন্দন তানে চিরবন্দন গানে নবনন্দন তানে চিরবন্দন গানে উৎসব বিনা মন্দ মধুর ঝঙ্কৃত হবে প্রাণে নিখিলের পানে উথলি উঠিবে উতলা চেতনা সিন্ধু জাগিয়া রহিবে রাত্রি নিবিড় মিলন দাত্রী জাগিয়া রহিবে রাত্রি নিবিড় মিলন দাত্রী মুখরে আদিক চলিবে পথিক অমৃত সভার যাত্রী মুখরে আদিক চলিবে পথিক অমৃত সভার যাত্রী গগনে ধ্বনিবে নাথ নাথ বন্ধু 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 কোন শুভক্ষণে উদিবে নয়নে অপরূপ রূপ ইন্দু চিত্ত কুসুমে ভরিয়া উঠিবে মধুময় রসবিন্দু কোন শুভক্ষণে উদিবে নয়নে অপরূপ রূপ ইন্দু কোন শুভক্ষণে উদিবে নয়নে অপরূপ রূপ ইন্দু।
A reading from Tagore. Truth is in unity, and therefore freedom is in its realization. The texts of our daily worship and meditation are for training our mind to overcome the barrier of separateness from the rest of existence, and to realize Advaitam, the supreme unity which is Anantam, infinitude. It is philosophical wisdom, however, having its universal radiation in the popular mind, that inspires our prayer and our daily spiritual practices. It has been said in our Upanishads that our mind and our words come away baffled from the supreme truth, but he who knows that, through the immediate joy of his own soul, is safe from all doubts and fears. In the night, we stumble over things and become acutely conscious of their individual separateness, but the day reveals a great unity which embraces them. And the human whose inner vision is bathed in an illumination of his consciousness at once realizes the spiritual unity reigning supreme over all differences of race, and his mind no longer awkwardly stumbles over individual facts of separateness in the human world, accepting them as final. He realizes that peace is the inner harmony which dwells in truth, and that beauty carries an eternal assurance of our spiritual relationship to reality, which waits for its perfection in the response of our love.
আকাশ জুড়ে শুনিনু ওই বাজে আকাশ জুড়ে শুনিনু ওই বাজে তোমারি নাম সকল তারার মাঝে ওই বাজে আকাশ জুড়ে শুনিনু ওই বাজে সে নাম খানি নেমে এলো ভুয়ে কখন আমার ললাট দিল ছুঁয়ে সে নাম খানি নেমে এলো ভুয়ে কখন আমার ললাট দিল ছুঁয়ে শান্তি ধারায় বেদন গেল ধুয়ে আপন আমার আপনি মরে লাজে ওই বাজে আকাশ জুড়ে শুনিনু ওই বাজে মন মিলে যায় আজ ওই নীরব রাতে তারায় ভরা ওই গগনের সাথে মন মিলে যায় আজ ওই নীরব রাতে তারায় ভরা ওই গগনের সাথে অমনি করে আমারে হৃদয় তোমার নামে হোক না নামময় অমনি করে আমারে হৃদয় তোমার নামে হোক না নামময় আধারে মোর তোমার আলোর জয় গভীর হয়ে থাক জীবনের কাজে ওই বাজে আকাশ জুড়ে শুনিনু ওই বাজে তোমারি নাম সকল তারার মাঝে ওই বাজে আকাশ জুড়ে শুনিনু ওই বাজে ওই বাজে।
প্রভু আমার প্রিয় আমার পরম ধান হে, চিরপথের সঙ্গী আমার চিরজীবন হে। প্রভু আমার প্রিয় আমার পরম ধান হে, চিরপথের সঙ্গী আমার চিরজীবন হে। প্রভু আমার প্রিয় আমার পরম ধান হে, তৃপ্তি আমার অতৃপ্তি মোর, মুক্তি আমার বন্ধন ডোর। তৃপ্তি আমার অতৃপ্তি মোর, মুক্তি আমার বন্ধন ডোর। দুঃখ সুখের চরম আমার জীবন মরণ হে। প্রভু আমার প্রিয় আমার পরম ধান হে, আমার সকল গতির মাঝে পরম গতি হে। নিত্য প্রেমের ধামে আমার পরম পতি হে, আমার সকল গতির মাঝে পরম গতি হে। নিত্য প্রেমের ধামে আমার পরম পতি হে। ও গো সবার, ও গো আমার বিশ্ব হতে চিত্তে বিহার। ও গো সবার, ও গো আমার বিশ্ব হতে চিত্তে বিহার। অন্তবিহীন লীলা তোমার নূতন নূতন হে। প্রভু আমার প্রিয় আমার পরম ধান হে।
ॐ सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्म आनन्दरूपमृतं यद्विभाति शान्तं शिवमद्वैतं शुद्धं पापविद्धम्। He who is our creator, protector, and giver of all happiness, the life of all life, and the fount of all good, from whose grace we derive our body and mind, our intellect and our strength, our wisdom and piety, the constant protector of our body and mind from manifold disasters. He is the true, all-wise, infinite Param Brahma. revealing himself in bliss and immortality. He is the peace and righteousness, the one above all. With mind intent and full of love, we now hold communion of soul with the Supreme Spirit of God. Thou art our Father. You had imparted us your knowledge. You have taught us the truth. We who cling to earthly things consider them to be permanent. But when with your swipe of the hand you take it away from us, we realize how foolish we were to cling to those base things. You are only the truth, the eternal truth. You are the light of knowledge. You have taught us wisdom and have shown us the path to righteousness. We have often transgressed into the mire of falsehood, but you have always been there with our guiding light, showing us the path towards the truth. You understand my thoughts and you compass my path and my lying down, and you are acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue, O Lord, but you know it altogether. Especially in these troubled times, when there is so much sadness and bereavement, we remember those whom we have lost due to this pandemic. There are many familiar faces whom we shall see no more. There are many names which will now be remaining only in our memories. So when we think of these things, such morbid thoughts and sadness, we cling to you even more. We pray to you. We constantly pray. And it seems there's some sort of solace, some sort of balm that comes upon us and soothes us. It is like lighting a candle in an empty room. The flame remains still, but the light spreads to all corners of the room. So we can draw an analogy over here that it's the Spirit of God that remains within us, burning like a bright candle. And as a candle showers its brightness all over the room, but it doesn't move, it remains fixed, like the Shantam Shivam Advaitam. The light is the knowledge which has educated us. There are two types of rivers in this land. One is the mountain stream, which seldom has water. But when there is a heavy rain, the river gets flooded and washes away the land, boulders, and trees. On the other side, we have the deep rivers that flow in the plains where water moves slowly. It deposits the silt on the banks and helping the growth of agriculture and the spread of towns and cities and waterways. Let us think of these deep waters and invoke the sentiments of the nation, bringing forth its glory, and humanity will emerge in a whole new awakening. We shall not be the frivolous stream, but we will be like the deep waters of the river. We will look upon your ever-shining presence to light our hearts. Let us pray. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityur ma mritangamaya aviravir Rudra yakte dakshinang mukhang tena mang pahi nityam. Lead from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness into light. Lead me from death to the life eternal. O thou self-revealed, reveal thyself to me. O terrible, ever protect me with your benign look. May your will be fulfilled. We will now join in another song.
আমারে তুমি অশেষ করেছো মনে বিনা তব আমারে তুমি অশেষ করেছো মনে বিনা তব ফুরায় ফেলে আবার ঘুরেছ জীবন নব নব আমার তুমি অশেষ করেছ মনে লীলা তব কত যে গিরে কত যে নদীতে রে বেড়ালে বহি ছোট বাঁশিতে রে কত যে গিরে কত যে নদীতে রে বেড়ালে বহি ছোট বাঁশিতে রে কত যে তান বাজালে ফিরে ফিরে তাহারে তাহা পাব আমারে তুমি অশেষ করেছ মনে লীলা তব তোমারি অমৃত পরশে আমার হীরা খানি হারালো সীমা বিপুল পরশে উথলি উঠে বাণী তোমারি অমৃত পরশে আমার হীরা খানি হারালো সীমা বিপুল পরশে উথলি উঠে মানি আমার শুধু একটি মুঠি ভরি দিতেছ দান দিবস বিভাবরি আমার শুধু একটি মুঠি ভরি দিতেছ দান দিবস বিভাবরি হলো না সারা হত না যুগ হরি বলে আমি রব আমারে তুমি অশেষ করেছ মনে লীলা তব ঘুরায় ফেলে আবার করেছ জীবন নব নব আমার তুমি অশেষ করেছ এমনি লীলা তব।
The past year has been an exceptional one. We never dreamt that the entire population of the world will be under the grip of a deadly pandemic that will take away so many lives. Many of us have lost our near and dear ones. The familiar faces that we had seen, especially in this congregation, are no longer at our sides. In the world, we have seen civil liberties take a back seat, and the world has been rocked with incidents like Black Lives Matter and racial abuse. No one should benefit from discrimination, disenfranchisement, and by perpetuating the cycles of oppression. Climate change is an existential threat, and we need to address this immediately. 2020 has stopped us in our tracks and made us introspect. Our lives have been squeezed into just the four walls of our homes. Outdoors are out of bounds. Life has moved in terms of our physical existence. But life is much more. It is a menagerie of our mental, emotional, psychological, and physical perceptions and our own learnings of them. In the real world, humans need appreciation as well as self-esteem. And that gets taken care of by something such as a pat or appreciation from your superiors in the office, a word of appreciation from the teacher in the classroom, a look of appreciation from your friends in the cafeteria, or a simple thumbs up sign from your best friend. COVID-19 has cruelly snatched all of it away. We are now virtual, a bit more digital. Under normal circumstances, we would not have thought that Maghotsav would be celebrated in this fashion, without meeting each other, without sharing a laugh or a hug, without rehearsing for singing in chorus or meeting friends. Yes, this pandemic has pushed us home. But it has also helped us to connect digitally. There are more ways of people posting on social media during these troubled times. There are people who are seeking reassurance and appreciation from their digital friends to fill up the emotional hollow created by the absence of all of this in the real world. During this past year, we have spent more time connecting with people virtually. From the Brahmo Samaj perspective, we have made a number of programs connecting people across continents over the virtual platform. We had a virtual walk at Arnos Vale on 27 September last year, when the public relations officer of the cemetery did a video walk with all those who had joined in the conference, in the webinar. It was a video walk to the Chhatri of Ram Mohan. And we followed her while she gave her commentary across the gravel paths, across the various graves, and we got ourselves enriched with history. We have reached out to people across the globe with similar ideologies and conducted our webinars. A few weeks ago, we were discussing as what would be the message for Maghotsav this year. But what really appeals for Maghotsav, or especially for the Brahmo Samaj, is the message of universalism, the message of equality, the assimilation of faiths, filtering out the essence, and then sharing the practice of contemplating on the one. Here we all are equal. We know that Ram Mohan had conceived this idea of a meeting place of people of different sects and religions to unite and worship the one immutable being who was the author and preserver of the universe. The Upasana during his time comprised of Telugu Brahmins reciting the Vedas and Vidyavagish giving the Upanishads. The Brahma Sangeet would have been composed by Ram Mohan and his friends, which was sung by a person called Govinda Mal, and the percussion was provided by the Muslim artists. It was a truly universal approach to religion, which is even unheard of today. Keshav Chandra Sen, at a service held at Little Portland Street Chapel in England, on 10th of April 1870 said, "It is of the most importance to us that we should realize the presence of that great and holy God whom we profess to worship, and the solemn relation in which we stand to him. Without it, religion is almost powerless. It may satisfy the understanding and the intellect, but it cannot exercise any influence upon our life and conduct. It is one thing to say with understanding that God exists, if it is quite a different thing to say with the whole heart and soul, my Lord is before me, behind me, and he fills all the space." This spirit of universalism culminated in the hands of Rabindranath. We see him in an essay in 1911, The Service of the Brahmo Samaj. He writes, "The world, especially the West, urgently needed the universal humanism of the Brahmo faith. The problem of egocentric nationalism is a disease to be cured only by an universal ideal of humanity. It was a key role of the Brahmo Samaj to help in saving the world from madness of nationalism." Yes, that madness of nationalism is still there. It's manifesting in different countries. So the spirit of universalism, of uniting people, of sharing the ideals of the one true God is very important now. And I quote from the very famous song of Ram Mohan, "Meditate on the only one who pervades land, water, and air, who has created this universe of which there is no bound. He knows all, but none can know him. He is the Lord of lords, the God of gods, and the Master of masters. Let us know this adorable one." So this is the English translation of Bhabo Sheyake. It is the message of respect for each other's religion which is most supreme. Nowadays, we are constantly egged upon to build upon narrow domestic walls, to mistrust people, divide on the basis of religion and race, and bring forward sectarianism. This is where the message of Mahotsav should be. One should come and carry on this message of universalism, fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man. This has been said in different forms by people who came after Ram Mohan. We find it in the words of Debendranath, we find it in the words of Shivnath, in the words of Keshav Chandra Sen, and more so in the words of Swami Vivekananda. It is basically love your fellow brothers and sisters, do good to them, and that is the way to serve God. We cannot go out and condemn our religions. We cannot say that my religion is better than the others. So therefore, in the spirit of Mahotsav, let us spread our hands and welcome our fellow brothers and sisters of different faiths and different denominations of different countries, of different religions and different race. There's a very popular song in Bengali which says, Bhubonabashi shobe gao, mili milia. I translate this as, O children of the earth, sing in his glory, sing in his praise. It may be him or a her, but is the one supreme being. He has no form. He cannot be seen, but he is with us. And he is within us, and he is beside us at this very moment. So that is where I will end my message here and wish you all a very happy Mahotsav.
গাও হে তাহারো নাম রচিত যারো বিশ্বধাম দয়ারো যারো নাহি বিরাম ঝরে অবিরত ধারে গাও হে তাহারো নাম জ্যোতি যারো গগনে গগনে কীর্তি ভাতি অতুল ভুবনে জ্যোতি যারো গগনে গগনে কীর্তি ভাতি অতুল ভুবনে প্রীতি যারো পুষ্পিত বনে কুসুমিত নবরাগে গাও হে তাহারো নাম যারো নাম পরশরতন পাপী হৃদয় তাপহরণ প্রসাদ যারো শান্তিরূপ ভকত হৃদয়ে জাগে যারো নাম পরশরতন পাপী হৃদয় তাপহরণ প্রসাদ যারো শান্তিরূপ ভকত হৃদয়ে জাগে অন্তহীন নির্বিকার মহিমা যারো হয় অপার অন্তহীন নির্বিকার মহিমা যারো হয় অপার যারো শক্তি বর্ণিবারে বুদ্ধি বচন হারে গাও হে তাহারো নাম রচিত যারো বিশ্বধাম দয়ারো যারো নাহি বিরাম ঝরে অবিরত
here are some readings from scriptures from different religions around the world. Firstly, we start with the Yajur Veda. Verily, he is the soul, the Lord of all, the ruler of all, the king of all. He governs all this, all that there is. He does not become greater by good actions, nor inferior by bad actions. He is the overlord of all beings. He is the sustaining dam of the world for preventing the breaking up of the people. And next, a few lines from the Atharva Veda. Homage to that supreme Brahman, Lord of what has been and shall be, and of everything whose alone is the heaven.
From Mundukupanishad, he is not grasped by the eye, nor even by speech, nor by other sense organs, nor by penance, nor by sacrifice. When the mind is purged by the light of knowledge, then only one can see him, who is without parts, by meditating on him. From Manu Samhita, water purifies the limbs and bodily members of a person. Truthfulness purifies the mind. He, individualized self, is purified by learning and penitential austerities, and intellect is purified by knowledge.
Now for a few words from the Mahabharata. Truth is always a religion with good. Indeed, truth is eternal religion. One should respectfully bow to truth. Truth is the greatest refuge of all. Truth is duty. Truth is penance. Truth is yoga. Truth is the eternal Brahma. Truth has been said to be a great sacrifice. Everything depends on truth.
From the Jain scriptures, Brihat Shanti Stotra. Let there be peace in the whole world, and let everyone exert the well-being of the other. Let the evil disappear. Let everybody be happy everywhere. From the Sikh scriptures. That is the true path where all paths have met. Conquer your mind, and you will conquer the world. Bow to him again and again. He is the beginning. He is the end. He is without beginning, without break. He is the same through different ages.
Now some quotations from Buddhist scriptures called Lalita Vistar. I shall not live with a heart full of attachment and evil propensities. I shall not associate with evil ones, as also with those who are fettered in the cage of worldly objects, which are really not to be longed for. My mind, being free of all sorts of bondage, will roam freely like the air and the sky. And now I'm going to read from the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 5, verses 3 to 10. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
From the Quran. There is no God but He, the creator of all things. Therefore, serve Him, for He taketh care of all things. The sight comprehends Him not, but He comprehends the sight. He is the incomprehensible, the wise.
Father